welcome to another show of a Seeker session. For today, we will discuss about 8 ways to support those suffering from mental illness. And we are joined today with Shema Alkaf. And also we have our special guest that we invite from our first session, who is Aidil Arsad. A bit introduction, just a brief introduction about Aidil for those who have just joined in for this session. He's an advocate of this movement of mental illness and mental health, and he has also inspired many people with his stories on about this topic. And on the first session, he actually shared about his views and his approach on how we can actually deal with this mental illness or mental health. So without further ado, allow me to actually introduce our special guest for today, which is Aidil Arsad.
Hi, both of you.
Hi.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. How are you, Aidil?
Good, alhamdulillah. I'm a bit hyped to continue from our previous session.
MashaAllah. MashaAllah. That's nice to know, because I think from the previous session, we discussed quite a length on the part where actually there's eight points that you want to bring forward to our viewers, but we only managed to cover 2. I hope today we can cover a few more, right?
We'll try, inshallah.
So okay, just a bit of a brief introduction to our viewers. What are the 8 points that you want to discuss for this session, or the session that is coming for the next episode, or what? And what are the 2 points that you also have discussed during our first session?
Okay. So let me set out the disclaimer first. These 8 points are actually some summary that I've gathered for the past 2 years that I've been dealing with mental illness, and how I perceive or I get feedbacks from my mom, my best friend, who has been there for me. So this is what they have been doing for me, and it kind of worked for me. So I would want to share these 8 points for those out there who would want to be there for your loved ones who are having mental illness. So maybe I'll just go through briefly the 8 points first before we go in depth. Okay, so the first 2 points, which I've shared before on the first episode, is to be informed. Second is to be there to listen. Number 3, take their feelings seriously. Their meaning people with mental illness. Let them know about support services. So by this time, we are going to tap on some facilities, organizations that is helpful to them. And then number 5 is respond to emergencies. Number 6, avoid tough love approach. This is a very sensitive topic. It may or may not work, but okay, we shall elaborate more on that. Number 7 is avoid offering advice, kind of linking to number 2. And lastly, number 8 is be patient. So all these 8 pointers have worked for me. It may or may not work for you, but so don't hold this against me lah. Don't sue me. I can't do it.
I think it's not about who's right, who's wrong. I think it's about approach here. It's like it's like food. You see, some food is good for you, right? For me, I don't take spicy food so much. But my wife, she loves spicy food, so I guess for her it's a remedy. The more spice up she is, right, the more energetic she can be. But for me, it's different. I prefer not to take spicy food because of a certain aspect, right? So I think the same goes to mental health, because it's not one thing fit for all, you see.
Correct.
So maybe I would want to actually ask you for your elaboration on the topics that you wish to share to us tonight.
Sure. So maybe I'll touch briefly on the first two points lah. Number one is to be informed. This why I rank this as the top of the list is because in order for you to get to know the person, you need to find out about who they are, why they are, and what makes them the way they are. So all these 5 pointers of like who, how, where, when, how, why, it's all important for you to know before you actually tackle each issue. So same goes when kalau nak pergi like probably for example, like if you want to date someone, obviously you want to know that person properly before you actually agree, and then from there, before you actually go into the relationship, you need to know, find out a bit more. So same thing for this mental illness, because there's a wide range of mental illness. It's a huge spectrum from one end to the other. So in order for you to know specifically what your loved one is having, you need to find out what is it really in terms of medical definition, and also you can get some pointers from working professionals on how to deal with it. You can even talk to your loved ones about it, get them to share about their triggers, and then basically just be informed. All the knowledge that you've gained will actually help the person even better, because you yourself know like how to deal with your loved ones. Plus on top of that, you already know that person, but then on top of this mental illness, so now you are getting to know even more. So by educating yourself about this matter, you are also educating other people, and you get to empower other people as well to talk more about this. So you have become an ally to the mental illness group. So it can create a ripple effect lah. So hopefully you are able to share the word out, and more people will get more awareness to this. So inshallah, that is just point number one.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. But you see, Aidil, I love the way you actually shared your point across. You see, because in order for you to have this depth of understanding, definitely it's not easy, because if you are someone who doesn't goes through this kind of process, and who is not related to those who goes through this kind of process, they will not they can just say out the points, but they can't elaborate like how actually you did, actually, Aidil.
Yeah, so all these are based from experiences lah.
I think also sorry. Oh yeah, I think when Aidil mentioned about being informed, doesn't necessarily have to be that you have to know someone who is going through a mental illness. It's also important that everyone from all walks of life to be informed about this, because we may never know that we might cross paths with people who have mental illness, and it can happen through maybe a mutual friend. You get to know this person, or it can happen even on the streets outside. We don't know. People will have breakdowns here and there, sometimes outside, and they are alone. So it's always good. It's pretty much like first aid, in a way, to always be prepared and be ready when these things come in. So not necessarily that it has to be someone that you know that have mental illness that you need to be educated about these things. I think it's more of a general thing that everyone or the whole community and the public should be aware of.
I agree.
MashaAllah. Maybe Aidil can continue with the second point, if you may. Yeah.
Sure. Because I was listening attentively to what Shema said, and whatever the points that were given by both of you just were valid. And so it goes back to my second point, which is be there to listen. So the art of listening is really a skill that you need to actually know how to do, and then learn how to do it properly. Like, because for someone who has psychology background, maybe because it's kind of like innate in me to really like to listen to people's whatever views or opinions that they have. But when it comes to me, I want the same thing. I expected the same thing for other people to do, but all of us are not the same, so we can't immediately expect, oh, this person is going to listen to whatever rants that I'm going to share, and I'll be okay after that, because people may have different perceptions, and then they would want to also like advise you, or have their take on it. So, and then at that point in time, I got offended because I felt like it was a judgment towards me when I kind of like share with one of my friends that I have mental illness, and then he said, why are you talking about this? Instead you should just like keep this to yourself. Isn't this like very shameful? So from there, I kind of like share, choose who I want to share about this topic in more like intimately, because I thought that person would just be there to listen to me. So that kind of support I didn't receive. So what I did was to back out and stop sharing lah. Probably maybe because that person A, not informed, B, or not comfortable or do not know how to deal with it. So they try to just talk over it, hoping that maybe we can just keep this heavy issue and talk about something lighter. So yeah, so it's very wise of you to just show your presence, show your support, and listen to whatever kind of sharings that they want to include you in, because when a person shares with you about their darkest, deepest
Secrets.
episode, they trust you. So in order to gain their trust, it's very difficult. So once you are already at that stage, it means that they are very comfortable with you and they just want you to be there to listen. So I saw this YouTube video by Mufti Meng the other day. It was recently also, just a couple of days. The title was mental illness and suicide. In one of the sermons lah, because it was online sermon, he mentioned that learn to nod your head more than shaking it. So I find that sentence is very powerful. I feel like it speaks more. Your action actually speaks louder than your words. When you just nodding your head, you're actually showing attention, you're acknowledging it, and you are giving respect to the person. Because when one person is talking, you should be listening, and instead of just rebutting and cut that person off, because that shows no sign of respect at all. So yeah, so from there, even all these like very very little things which we find maybe I was there, but probably because you were playing your phone and you are not listening. Maybe I'm listening, but then you are not attentive. So that also could be an very offensive act. So yeah, I think just to be very direct, it's just to be there to listen. That's all.
MashaAllah.
I think maybe what I can add from to that, when Aidil mentioned about being there to listen, listening itself is a skill. And so when we come across that there are some people out there who may not have active listening skills, it is something that can be learned. It's not something that either you have it or you don't. It's not like a talent or anything like that, but it is a skill in a sense that we go through oral examinations when we were younger. So they test, when even doing our IELTS, our English test, they test your listening skills, how attentive are you, and things like that. So when you mention about having the phone and then your friend is talking to you, that is also very offensive lah. In any situation, doesn't have to be in a mental illness situation. Even when I'm with a friend and my friend is on the phone and I'm talking, especially when I'm talking about something serious, I would get offended when the person is on the phone and then I'm talking, so because I will feel that you are looking at the phone at something that's more interesting than what I have to say. And then that is one of the things. And also, given that listening is a skill, whatever that people listen to, they will develop a perception from what is being told to them. So, for example, if there are some people out there who is not very much or very well exposed to mental health or mental illness situations, or the different types of mental illness, so to speak, when they come across situations like that, they might listen, but then they might perceive it very negatively. They might see it as like, oh, it's kind of like I feel maybe a bit put off by all this. I feel kind of turned off. But that's where the exposure comes in, and that's where the first step, which is to be informed, comes in. Yeah. So if they're not very well informed or not informed at all, so then they will develop certain perceptions that can be easily avoided if they are well informed. So that's where the second step of listening comes in.
The art of listening is something that is not to take lightly.
Yeah, that's communication skills 101. Especially during the era when everything's about your phone, gadgets and stuff, you kind of like get distracted easily, and then the human touch is not there.
Correct. Because sometimes people tend to think, oh, it's just a one-way communication, so I just keep myself quiet, or maybe just look through on my phone. But they fail to realize that you need to stay attentive, because you need to take in some pointers or signals or whatever hints, right, that person might give, you see. And or if not, you'll miss out. The next thing you know, oh man, he or she might do something that is beyond your control, you see.
Correct.
Yeah, as simple as if let's say I'm going through a breakdown, which I do from time to time. So I mean, it's because we tend to have our own levels of anxiety and so forth. So when we have those kind of breakdowns, especially when I was younger, before I got married, I would call on a friend to just let out, And the most important thing to me from a friend is that when you are that kind of friend who is in need, your friend calls you up, they're having a breakdown, you stop whatever you're doing and you listen. Yeah, so that is, I mean, it's as simple as that lah. So yeah.
Correct.
True.
Yeah.
True.
So to continue on from what Shaima has mentioned, after you have listened, going back to my points, number 3 is to take their feelings seriously. So now that you have listened, now you're able to process things and to validate their emotions. So if I'm telling you that I feel depressed right now, I feel ways that I can't describe myself how depressed I am. So from there you are able to find out the pointers lah, like what Indra mentioned just now. When you listen properly, you are able to, okay, this person is not his usual self. So from there, like, what can I do? So you acknowledge his or her feelings first. So like you say, you don't need to interrogate further. You just probably can just acknowledge their emotions, like, okay, I clearly see that you are in a mess right now, like you are unkempt and you look like very distraught, and you look sick. Probably you must be feeling very very shitty right now. So then from there you are able to ask his or her opinions, like, what can I do for you to make things better, or you just want me to be here and to accompany you. So from there they feel like accepted.
Yes.
They want to share more because you have already created this safe space for them to let you in and to go along through the healing process together. So yeah, to take their feelings seriously. I know maybe some people, whether he or she has mental illness or not, probably their pain threshold is not so wide, and they kind of like get emotional over every little things, and then yeah, I mean, it's good to acknowledge their emotions, but you do not want to be an enabler to that kind of behavior as well, because some people may just use it for attention, or maybe some kind of like abuse that relationship that you already have, and kind of like very clingy towards you in that in that sense, like, if you get what I mean. So it's apa ni you kind of like thread it like very in a sensitive manner lah. You do not want to disown their feelings, but then you also do not want to be an enabler to whatever emotions. Sikit-sikit je, okay, I'll be there for you, I'll be there for you. So you want to empower them to actually try to be independent as much as they can lah. Although you want to be there for them also, yeah.
Yeah, true. MashaAllah. Maybe allow me to get Aidil to move on to the next point. If
Sure.
all right, okay, that's great.
Okay, now so coming to the fourth point, about support services.
Third point, right? We are talking about third point, right?
Oh no, the third point was to take their feelings seriously.
Okay, yeah, true. Now the fourth point, yeah, correct.
So now the fourth point, now that you are already in the safe space together with that person, and then this person, I have already let you in my world, and I want your help. And then from there, because you already are informed already, going back to point one, so you already know the resources and where to tap from. So this number four is to let them know about all the support services that are available, and specifically catered to his or her needs. So there's a lot of organizations right now that caters to mental illness, also very specific content on each diagnosis. So yeah, probably you must have can Google the available services lah. Namely like SOS,
talking about services, I think I have something to show to our viewers. Right, okay. We have here the National Care Hotline. Okay, the National Care Hotline is 1-800-202-6868. Okay, so but that is, I think, is more general and more it covers a lot of area lah. Doesn't specify on mental health, right? So we have here also mental well-being. For mental well-being hotline, we have the Fair okay, sorry if I pronounce it wrongly. Fair online counselling services. We have Institute of Mental Health Helpline, which is 6389 2222, and we have Samaritans of Singapore 1-800-221-4444. And last but not least, we have the Silver Ribbon Singapore, right? 6385-3714. For those listening, when you know the hotline, man. This I think it's important for us to know, or at least be aware there is such services out there for our reach out. You see,
correct. Especially for SOS, I know part of their work, and they do 24-hour hotline. So it's free, available for any of you who are feeling suicidal and do not know where to go or to talk to. If, let's say, in the middle of the night, your friends are asleep and couldn't you couldn't reach them, you just call this number. It's very safe. Your identity will be kept anonymous, and yeah, probably I believe in that one phone call actually can save life. Be it whether you are well equipped with crisis intervention, or even if you have already promised with that someone that I'm going to be there for you. So once you receive that call, when you listen to them, that can save his or her life. Yeah.
But okay, I have sorry, I have a question for Aidil. Okay. In the event that we come across situations like this, where we get to know someone who is going through a mental illness, for example, and this is the part where we will determine on whether he or she is open to to inform of their situation to these helplines lah, or these sources of I mean these organizations that are willing to help. Are there actually instances where there are friends of ours in the community who do not wish to have the organizations to be known of their situation, and they only want to keep it within a close proximity of their friends and family members? And in situation like that, how can we actually help them?
Right. Okay. So I know of some people actually who would like to keep this matter very discreetly, especially within their four walls. They do not want to get out of the house. Not even the issue, but then they themselves do not even want to go out physically to seek help, because I think now the number one issue here is the stigma that which is still sadly linked very much to this topic. Especially in our community, I mean in Malay Muslim community, it's pretty much rather a topic taboo, although people are trying to be open about it. But even during that openness also, they might have some
Reservation.
yes, correct. And also their own take on it. But then everyone is entitled to their own opinion. But it's better for us to show support in a sense that to make it normal as any other illnesses, so that this group of people will be more upfront, not only just to share, even if they do not want to share. I mean, it's their own prerogative. But then the number one key is to seek help seek treatment for their issue, because it is indeed an illness, and every illness has medication. So yeah, I mean, I'm not talking in terms of drugs lah, medicine wise. I mean, there are therapies also. So probably we can let them know that you do not need to just go to IMH for this. There's other organizations, there's other healthcare services that is available, and it's very discreet and it's very safe, which does not has the word mental slap on their organization at all. So
I think
it
it's
is very,
more of encouraging them lah, also giving the moral support that they need lah at the same time.
correct. Because once you put a negative connotation to mental illness, then the more people are afraid to go out for us who needs the treatment. And then for other people who don't know about it, the more the more scared they will be towards people like us. So it's not helping for in both teams. So we need to be together, to unite, to be an ally for the mental illness, and for the mental illness persons also to work hand in hand together with the public. So once the public has opened up and supporting this movement, and then the people are more willingly to go out there to seek help for themselves, so they can get into the public and to work, to socialize again. Yeah,
I think it takes two hands to clap lah.
correct.
Yeah, because if only one party would like to commit, and the other is like about half-hearted, or even doesn't have the same desire, doesn't have the same motivation, it's going to be hard also for us to work this out collectively. Because for some, they might think it's just a one-way direction where, oh, engkau yang sakit, you are the one who are sick, you go seek help. Why should I help you, right? So that kind of mentality should be corrected, right? Likewise, also same for those that family members are willing to help their loved one who are facing from depression or mental illness. They are ready to help, but the thing is, the patient itself or the person itself who are suffering quite ignorant in a way. No lah, malu lah, segan lah, all this. So that itself create that kind of friction between these two parties. Maybe Aidil, maybe you can elaborate further on that.
I agree 100%. And whatever Indra mentioned just now, it happened to me because, firstly, I mean, in both ways lah. One is a relative don't believe mental illness, and the initial part, I don't believe that I have mental illness. So yeah. Um, if I can just share my experience, during the first part, first few months when before I realized that I have mental illness, I was very much alone. I wouldn't want to go out or to meet anybody, even my own family members. So I just keep myself in the room, and my behavior got it turned 180. It was not me. So I rejected help or whatever kind of help that my mom had offered. I didn't want to even go to the doctor, just to know whether you the mom or what, right? So even that I didn't want to receive it from her. So that caused a friction, definitely. And then when I already come to terms with my diagnosis, when I tried to share with my relatives, they have their own set of views on it and how I should, go with it from their perspective. So definitely there's a clash already, and because of my experience and what I've heard from people also that have kindly enough to share with me. So what I did to resolve the situation was to just take a step back, listen to their views, try not to get defensive, and to really understand where they are coming from. Then from there, you're able to kind of like share with them, oh, why I'm doing this and this, and how it has helped me because of what I've done. So from there, not only you are understanding from where they came from, you would want them to understand how it feels like to be in your shoes. So after that, I mean, it doesn't take just one day lah, and so it takes time, but definitely people progress and people evolve, and then from there they are also able to see the bigger picture lah. Because also with the help of media now that some there are documentaries or even dramas that are portraying or touch a lot about mental illness. So media outlet also has helped them gaining that knowledge, and also kind of like giving them a positive enforcement to okay, this is what Aidil mentioned just now. The other time, oh, okay, so this is what I'm seeing, and this is what I'm hearing from a real experience and from what I see on TV. So yeah, so art imitate life and vice versa. So like this kind of platform that the seeker session is having also is actually going out to the world, hopefully for them to get informed.
When talking about support, since we are on this part where we need to go out there and seek for support services, I believe the government have played their role intensively. They have invest funds and time for this effort, and we as Singaporeans should also be aware of our government contribution to this cause. So allow me to actually share a statement that is been made by our PM Lee, which is Mr. Lee Hsien Loong, in a website of Silver Ribbon. He mentioned, if you say you are sick, it's okay. If you say your mind is not so good, then people think something is not right with you. So I think it's good to bring up this subject and encourage people to look at it positively and do something to improve the mental health of Singaporeans. So this is a quote from our Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong. So I think it serves a very strong statement there. Yeah. So first of all, I would like to ask Aidil, what do you think of our government approach on this?
It is definitely a positive approach. I felt relief actually knowing that we have support from the government, and it shows that our leaders are actually taking this thing into matter, and they are doing it for the citizens because it is a serious matter. It has shown in the workforce that most of us are dealing with stress, and all this stresses can contribute to mental illness. You know, especially in this hard and fast-paced world that we are living. Correct.
Yeah.
So stresses definitely can triggers mental illness and be a main cause of it. So having the government on board, it is definitely a good sign. Even our beloved Madam President also has, took out the clause in the initial part of interview in the form employment form, whereby they took out the phrase saying that if you have mental illness or you're seeking treatment, whether you want to declare or not. So that has been scrapped off because they don't believe in, because we are living in a society where we want to include everybody. So this inclusivity of people with mental illness or any other illnesses, whether you are physically disabled also, we have to live harmoniously. So we have to accept everybody for whatever conditions that they have. So definitely the prejudice is taken off. We have to start somewhere, and what more better way to start on top? So from the government, then it can create more campaigns, and then media outlet, then from household, then from there it can spread nationwide.
I mean, to add on to Aidil, what he shared about our government's movement and contribution to this cause. I mean, I think what the government really want to develop this community or this nation to be a nation where everyone deserve a chance, regardless what kind of sickness or what kind of background you have. So I believe, because the thing about people who are suffered by this mental state, they when they slowly recover, right, and or they have recovered, and they are now trying to go back to the society. That's the part where they have inferiority in every aspect of their life. And I think the government being going out to say this out loud, it gives them a boost in terms of their confidence that the government is giving us a chance. Like just now you mentioned that the clause for employment, for the part where the condition of if those who have suffered from mental illness or those who have are seeking treatment, that part of the condition has been taken out from any contracts that in terms of employment. So I think this is something that we Singaporeans have to realize. The movement, this movement is big. It's not something small who only involves certain individuals or certain groups or certain ethnic groups. No, I think it involves everyone in this beloved country.
I've
Yeah,
seen a few billboards somewhere. Sorry, I've seen a few billboards somewhere. In fact, National Council of Social Services are also taking action,
Mm.
and they are taking quite a number of measures where the posters I've seen on MRT trains, where people who are being employed into the workforce, and they have declared they all have mental illness. Some have gone through depression. Some of them have anxiety, or that sort of thing. So I've seen these billboards around. So it's taking more notice among a lot of Singaporeans. Although it can still be a taboo, and I would say, as a Singaporean, the way that I'm observing, our government is slowly but surely taking steps towards recognizing mental health as a form of an important part of acknowledging the community state at this point. Yeah.
correct, correct. I agree because from that posters also is actually a kind of like inspired me to what am I like whatever that I'm doing right now.
Mm.
Because of a poster that I saw from a friend of mine now. Her name is Sumaya. So because I saw Sumaya's poster there, I when I read when I read her story, I was like, oh wow. So I just got to know based on the poster only. Then from there, when we met, like I was so grateful that I get to meet her in person and then get to hear her story. It really inspired me to like really like just to get out there to help her along with other peers to spread out this cause, in a bigger scale, you know.
So,
So definitely her story have impacted my life on how and what my work more related to now. Yeah.
yeah, it's good. Yeah, maybe we can. And I think that's where the next point comes into place, right?
Yes, definitely. Point number 5. So we are almost coming to the end, which is the respond to emergencies point. I find that this is a crisis intervention. I mean, if some of you who may not be confident enough to actually kind of take to be the first responder, definitely you escalate this to higher authority. The best group of people, which is to contact either 999 or 995 for. But if it's a mental breakdown that you can see which is very hazardous, definitely call ambulance right away, to help on this matter. But if you are you have a background knowledge on crisis intervention, I mean, sure, why not go ahead and save that person's life, because it is just a matter of seconds actually. And what you say or what you do will impact that person. For example, if let's say if someone you see someone at the parapet trying to jump down. For instance, he has the intention, maybe he was just seated on the parapet, not having the intention to jump down, but you as a passerby,
Passerby.
you thought that he's actually going to commit suicide. But actually, he may just want to sit there. So your action, whether you take it as an emergency, or whether you want to, how you respond to it is very crucial. Also, how you perceive it. Um, so if for me, for in my case, if let's say if I were to be in that kind of situation, if I see someone, well, the first thing to do, I keep my distance away first. I will definitely introduce myself before I actually go do whatever I want to do. So I make him notice my presence first. So kita pun tak nak just macam terkejutkan dia. So from afar, I just let him know, hi sir, My name is Aidil. You would want to introduce your name, and then you just say that I'm probably, if let's say, because I've learned on crisis intervention, so I would just say I'm a crisis worker. Is there any way that I can help you? So that's all. I mean, that's what I learned lah.
Yes.
From there, we are able to find out his really intentions, like what is he going to do. Like, oh no, I'm just sitting here, just or then from there, oh, do you want to like sit somewhere else? I have a place, at the void deck. We can chit chat for a while. Then from there, you are able to make it more safer place for him. Because the first rule for a crisis worker is to save the life. No matter what, the life is important. So whether kalau orang tu macam, if it may lead to something that macam patah tangan ke kaki whatsoever, as long as that person's life is safe, you have already done your job, because that is the main objective right now, which is to save that person's life.
You see, usually I'm very curious now, because tak orang tak kita, and then at the same time also we don't know how it feels like for those who are going through that kind of state, like what Aidil have give an example about. If you are passerby, you are seeing someone trying to sitting at the parapet, and you have the impression of him jumping down, and he have elaborate the steps and procedures for you to approach that guy. But I've always wanted to know what is going through, right, that person's mind. For this case, the person who are sitting on the parapet, and for example, what actually running through in his mind at that very moment. Even though when someone approach him, we don't know whether that might register or not. We don't know whether he hear in terms of clearly whatever that you have uttered or whatever you have talked to him. So we don't know, right? So it's very hard to actually understand this part, but not to actually have any negative points about that. It's just to understand, so that we, the one who are the passerby, might deal with them better. You see, if they don't want us to talk, then we don't talk. We just stand there. We just give our support. If they want us to, sometimes it can be quite a crazy. It can be quite a intense thing that they might want us to do. If let's say example, right? If a person who is sitting at the parapet, he want to jump down, but he give you a condition. Okay, if you don't want me to jump down, then you dance. If you don't want me to jump down, then you do something that please him. So sometimes we need to understand this aspect. So maybe we open this for discussion. Maybe both of you can give your inputs.
Okay, I think the part when being the first responder and also providing the social support from organizations out there, I feel that it's also important that not just one person is aware of it. For example, if it's a family member of mine or a good friend of mine, so it's important that not just I am well informed about this, I have to inform the people around us as well, because there will be events where I may not be around, and then it's always good to have someone else out there. At the same time, when we spoke earlier about how some people may not be open to share their mental health situation with the public, but at the same time we still have to be there in case of any kind of emergency. And we should not be alone as first responders. We should not be alone in this. We also should have some other people who are well informed about this person's situation, because we don't know how much strength we might have to hold this person, to prevent them from doing things that are unimaginable. So it's always good to have more than one person to also be there and to physically and also intellectually support them lah. So as much as the person who is affected by the mental illness to not be alone. The first responders should also not be alone in this aspect. So yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree because that also could lead to caregiver burnout. Because if you're actually taking that role of a caregiver, it takes a lot on you, on your emotions. Definitely, it's not because you're not just going through, from a perspective of I'm here to support you. You are actually going into the healing process, the journey together with that person. And if, let's say, like what Shama mentioned, if I'm unavailable, who is the second person? Or if I'm unable to do this right now, I need help, I need assistance. So there's no hard and fast rule to it. Maybe the first example that I gave, maybe if in the instance like what I should do. But if, let's say, if I already know that person is going through something very difficult, definitely if I know the person's family members, people that already know about the situation, uh, definitely you inform them, and then you call the relevant authorities as well to take on this case, because um, uh, whatever you do, if you do it collectively, it doesn't only show that, okay, all these people are actually supporting me. Um, I I feel kind of like, as a person with mental illness, if I were to be in that kind of situation, there there is like macam like a hope, that like, even if I want to commit suicide, when I see all these people actually are running around just to help me, that actually can make me rethink my choice, probably. Yeah, so yeah,
It's
definitely
like
that kind of choice is very
it's like a reverse psychology, Aidil. Yeah. When
I
I
mean,
just want to share. Yeah, sorry.
when you see someone is striving to keep you alive, it just make you think that why should I end my life, right? Whereas you are seeing right in front of you, I give a salute to most of like our SCDF officers who put their life on the line to save a life. Who, in this case, right? Like taking example again, a person who are sitting at the parapet, that person want to end his life. But here comes the SCDF officers, no gear up, no gearing up from the rooftop, jumping down and putting the net onto in between floors. Amazingly, man, that effort really literally shows that there's value to life.
No, I think for the first CDF, the first CDF pula, the
SCDF,
SCDF officers, the first thing that they prioritize is the safety.
definitely,
So
yeah.
when they come in, they just push the person back inside inside the apartment, because the first thinking is safety, and then
Yes.
after that comes the talking and all that. I actually want to share one more experience. It's not so much of an experience, but it's more of, I came across this video on YouTube of this young boy, and I think he's probably in his early 20s, and he has a clinical mental condition, which is schizophrenia.
Mm.
And not just him, I've also come across other videos of how there are people out there with mental illness. They are coming out more to social media. They actually record themselves while they have split personalities, and they let people see, the real things that are going on. And so for example, there was this boy that I saw on YouTube. He recorded himself, and he has schizophrenia. He let everybody know that he has schizophrenia, and he's just sitting there. The video of him was just sitting there, and he's looking around, and then he starts to jerk. When he starts to jerk, he would share to the public that, I just heard a voice, and the voice is telling me to look behind, because and it's very interesting, because he was just sitting there, then suddenly he looks behind, like then he says that there's a voice telling me that there is something behind me, there's a voice telling me, and he would describe every detail about
Wow.
the voice that is in his head, the voices that are in his head, and things like that. And another video of a young girl, also I believe also in her 20s as well, she recorded herself while she sort of changes her personalities, like all of a sudden, like 2-3 personalities in one video. So and this all happened in real time, people are watching this. So in a way, I also am very proud, and I'm very relieved to see more of our friends out there in the community who is opening up, even though they might not, maybe we to a certain extent, with their friends and family, but they also open up to the public to actually share with everyone about how real these things are. And when I saw the comments on YouTube, everybody was like, hey, are you okay, man, are you okay, how can we help you, so people were reaching out to them at the same time. When I saw especially the boy with schizophrenia, I was very, very it was so heartfelt. Yeah, I was very concerned. It was so heartfelt, and I wish, and just like the other people who commented on YouTube, they also wanted to be there, and they said that, oh my god, I wish I could hug you right now, that kind of thing. And those were the feelings that generate among the people who view these videos, and we understand how schizophrenia can be quite extreme, so I think it's really good that now people are opening up more on social media. So yeah, it's very good. It's an experience for me lah. So
I mean, I did share a picture actually of me right after my panic attack. So I sent it out to my IG story, and also the love that I got from the people who viewed. It was very heartwarming to see that people are actually concerned and want to know more, compared to the people who are actually saying that, oh, why are you showing this? Why like this won't get you more followers? I mean, comparing to that, the amount of support that I receive is actually the positive support I receive is way bigger than the naysayers. So why should I just focus on these naysayers instead? There's a wider population of kind people who are willing to want to know more about my life and want to get to my life, so that they are able to share it with other people who they may or may not know have mental illness. So that definitely create a positive ripple effect that we want to have that kind of effect for the. Yeah.
Actually, I just want to actually discuss on this part, since we are going in depth into this part, relating to what Shema have shared, the two events that happened during a live, is it Facebook or YouTube? I'm not so sure. So definitely this personnel that they are portraying their personality or their health state at that very time. I believe some people might misinterpret in a very grey line, in a very fine line, where they might misinterpret between attention seekers or really seeking out for support. You get what I mean? Because sometimes people out there, they have this perception. They have this perception. But definitely, it all go back to the person who are going through that phase. But because the society, we have different views, we have different approach to in terms of dealing with all this kind of social media. Definitely, like you said, Aidil, the naysayers out there, they might say it out loud right in your face. You are just seeking attention. Yeah, you are just out there just trying to fool yourself.
That's where I think their lack of exposure and information comes in lah.
Exactly, because right, first of all, regardless if that person is attention seeker also, right, you must take into the consideration, have sympathy, or at least have compassion, right? Even for myself, right, when I view social media, just to share, when I view the wall page, the feeds, right? Yeah, I might see some uncomfortable content, by some of my circle or group of friends who are in my social media. But I don't straight away criticize right there and there. You see, you get what I mean, not? I don't post on their Facebook page. Or I don't post on their wall page saying that kau ni seeking attention. No. Even if I have a point or if I have my own view, I will not say it out. You get what I mean, not? I will just keep it quiet because I don't know the real story. That's one. Second, we don't know what he's going through, what he or she is going through, and the next word that we comment right on his or her wall page, right, might you might regret that comment. You see, so I'm just saying this. Maybe we can go in depth and discuss on this part because I believe this is very important for our community to understand.
Correct. Yeah, because it goes back to your intention also lah. I mean, as a viewer, how you intend this video to be. Because if you perceive it to be very negative, then it shall be negative towards you. If you find the positive side to it, and then how are you going to make it more helpful for you yourself and that person, then that's your choice. It's a freedom of speech. It's a free will. Whatever you want to post on social media. I mean, there's ethical, the ethics to it. But then it's something that you cannot control. So whatever you want to post in your content. But then as a content creator, so I understand that there is a responsibility on my part to actually share something that is beneficial, because the best people among you are the people who benefit others. So if I want to share about this issue, I better make sure that it is beneficial to others instead of me just putting my life out there just to garner likes or get more followers or viewership, just because I feel like I'm unique and I want to tell people that I have panic attacks, so I take a video of me having panic attacks. And then, but why? What is your intention of posting it? Is it because after that video, or so I'm sharing, okay, so this is what happened. If you do not know what is the panic attack look like, so this is what happened to me, and then how I dealt with it, how I manage it. So if you have something like this, if you can relate to my situation right now, probably you can do the same thing to, I'm sharing you my techniques. So give people something to take away from instead of you just putting yourself out there.
But Aidil, sometimes these naysayers, their words can be very emotionally abusive. You see, I mean, no offense to anyone who loves to comment negatively. It's okay if you want to make fun, you can make fun of others. If you really know that person. But for this topic, those who are going through mental illness, I don't think so. It's something that anyone can make fun of. It's not a laughing stock. It's not a joke. You see, but
Yeah.
but due to social media presence and due to social media outreach, right? People have perceived this persona in a very different manner, where
But you'll be surprised, yeah.
Yeah, correct. I mean, they think you are just a person who want to seek attention, and there goes the keyboard warrior say, kau ni gila lah, apa kau buat gini, buat gedebu.
Actually, you would be surprised, you would be surprised because when I come across these videos, apparently the outpouring of love and support outweighs the naysayers. When I go through all the comments, actually 80%, I would say 80% of people who commented were saying that, hey, I hang in there, I hope that you're okay, I want to hug you and make you feel better. In fact, there was a video that was on TikTok of this guy. He was having a panic attack and he was diagnosed with PTSD, and he's got a friend who was hugging him whenever he has panic attacks. So he's I think it was his girlfriend or a girlfriend, and then there was also another video of a girl also having panic attack. So their partner or their friend would just hug them. And as I've mentioned in our previous session, when I come across, but not say come across because I'm a preschool teacher. So that's why we have children with behavioral disorders like autism and so on. So they will have their meltdowns, and we hug them. So it's just these hugs that give out the. I would say I'm not sure what is the word, which is it endorphins or some kind of chemical?
Chemical.
That positive chemicals that is being transferred to the person affected. And then that's where I think maybe this is the next point that you've shared with us before, when we talk about naysayers or people who are not very well informed of these mental health situations. Perhaps maybe Ideal can proceed with the following point, which is also, I think, is quite relevant.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, the chemical just now you mentioned, the
Yes.
endorphins. Yeah, it's actually something to relieve stress. And
Mm.
also, one of my favorite chemical, which is serotonin, because
Yes, serotonin is for sleeping.
my
But
my doctor see I have very low level of serotonin. I need to get more serotonin.
okay.
Ah, I see, I see. Maybe that's where we see you so lively on late nights when we talk to you all.
Actually, do you know that our body release out ions?
Mm.
So going back to what Shema termed it as endorphins, right? It's actually positive ions. You see, our
Yeah.
body can give up positive and negative ions. So if we hug someone and we give our most love and most compassionate and most deepest love towards that person, that very person will feel the positive ions that we are transferring towards that. So
That's right.
that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I believe so because we really need like kind and empathetic people to be around our space, because when we are going through our healing process, we do not want any negative even the slightest negative energy. It can just kind of disrupt our
Yes.
process.
Yes. Man,
So
sorry.
yeah, I'm
I think since we are in this since we are in this discussion, I think it relates to the six
the sixth.
number six. Yeah, point number six actually.
Correct, correct. Yeah, because when you are showing negative and giving off negative vibes towards the person, that person cannot receive it, because they already can relate negative is something that is not healthy for them, so they are rejecting all the negative energy. So once I can already detect negativity, I'm
Yeah.
going to get my my gut up and block you. So when you are like when I mentioned avoid tough love approach, even though your intention is very very pure, and you have the right intention to actually help that person, but then you are not someone who shows love and
I
affection
see.
very well, that is a tricky situation.
Okay.
It, yeah.
I just want to ask you, Aidil, since we are talking about this 6 point, the point number 6, which is avoid tough love approach. How do we identify if that person is giving us that vibe, that tough love approach?
Definitely, like you mentioned just now, we all give out ions or energy. As a person, you are able to feel it also, even though you're not talking to me. But when you come into the room, I can feel your energy. I know even though I do not know your intention, but I can feel that the place that you're coming from, whether
I
it
see.
really from an affectionate place or not. So, for example, this is what happened to me. My father does not show affection. He is the so-called the patriarch, very kind of masculine, tough guy who doesn't say "I love you" every night before you go to bed, and he he make jokes. I mean, he do laugh together along with you, but then he doesn't say "I love you." He doesn't hug you, but then he loves you.
Yeah.
And
I think it's a very Asian thing also lah.
yeah,
More traditional rather than Asian, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
probably because we brought up, um, we were, I think probably like my generation, like all of us, we were brought up, having to be that, male figures shouldn't cry, guys shouldn't, show their sensitive side, because guys should appear strong and, go out in the workforce, provide for your family, be the
The alpha
so-called the
male.
correct. But then we forget that even males are also human.
Yeah, true.
And
Yeah, and young men and boys, males in general, are are also experiencing the same thing as women, which is basic human emotions.
correct.
Yeah,
So if
yeah.
if you
So
go if you go and check the human emotion, there's levels of human emotion. You see love dekat bawah, which means yang paling banyak sekali. So love has the biggest range in human emotion. On top of, I think there's anger and then sad, so on and so forth. But then we were told to suppress it, like not to really show it out, even to your wife. Macam this is what I experienced or what I see lah. Even to your wife, like macam, oh, PDA is a no ah. Even you are married to her, macam macam malu lah sikit gitu kan. I mean, we don't go overboard also lah. But then we should let people know that showing emotions is definitely alright. It's definitely okay for people to if let's say boys, diorang main-main, they fell down and they cry.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an emotional need for them to cry because they feel pain. So pain relates to, But then when I grew up, when I fell from the bicycle and I cried, people told me not to cry. You're a big boy. Big boy don't cry. You shouldn't cry. So you are not giving so-called like my right to feel whatever that I was feeling. So I had to suppress that emotion. So like dealing with it, growing up, having to say that, okay, you shouldn't cry or you shouldn't macam show your emotion or like get so macam so I'm very people say very chandi, like I very comical also. So when I say I use like a lot of expressions, my hand gestures, menjulu jalan
like feeling overwhelmed with joy, Yeah,
Jovial.
yeah.
Aidil is very jovial.
Yeah.
a bit flamboyant, maybe sometimes a bit
Yeah, yeah.
loud when someone like very used to. So people ask me like, tone it down. So but then like you saying that, yeah, you are actually restricting my way of expression. Like
True. Sorry, Aidil, carry on. Yeah, sorry.
So like when you actually doing the things that doesn't agree with me, I cannot feel the support from you, because if let's say if my father at that point of time dia macam cakap dia masuk bilik, dah makan ubat belum? Makan ubat lah. Okay. Terus dia keluar tu pintu. So like, that and like an instruction to me, or you should showing care towards me. So I don't see the intention, the love behind it, behind that action. But definitely whatever he mentioned, it comes from a place of love, like. But then I just couldn't see it because I find out, oh, okay, he's just macam, he's just checking out on me whether did I slip my wrist or not today. He just want to check. So that's how I perceive it to be. Until when we like kind of like discuss more about this, and then coming to my second year dealing with things, now he's kind of like a changed man. So I'm grateful that my situation, my diagnosis actually can bring the sensitive out of my father. Now he hugs me. Dah tua baru dapat.
Masya Allah. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
You see, Aidil, I mean, relating to what you have shared just now, I believe a lot of people out there, they have this mentality. When I say a lot, I mean, most majority of us would one way or another have this mentality or this approach in life, where it is, we tend to judge the outlook of everyone. We tend to judge the way they behave, the way they talk. Like just now you mentioned about, yeah, I mean you sometimes tend to be quite flamboyant. You tend to be loud in certain ways, but that is how you are, you see. But I mean zahirnya, zahir in English, I don't know what to say actually. Dengan zahirnya, with that outlook, people will easily judge you. But that is a very wrong approach, you see. We have no right to judge people. We don't have any right to just go out there and assume or give our judgment right there and there. Instead, we should always give this allowance where, okay, aku tak kenal dia and I've yet to know him. We don't know. Maybe, yeah, he looks flamboyant. Maybe he looks very loud, right? But we don't know his deepest sentiments, or we don't know the punya inner self, how good he is as a person, how soft he is, how respected he is towards others. Itu yang orang tak faham. Itu yang orang sibuk sangat nak judge orang. Asyik nak judge sana, judge sini. And kalau suka sangat jadi judge, pergi high court jadi judge. I think that's better. I'm not saying anything negative about those who have this kind of approach. I'm only saying this because it has an effect on those who are really going through this mental illness, mental state. Definitely.
Correct. I think it's just human for you to not have any preconceived notions on whatever that you think that person might be because of one picture or just a short clip of video that you saw on the internet, and then suddenly you kind of like you become a psychic, like, oh, okay, I really know this person inside out just by looking at that, yeah. Because nak belajar psikologi pun lebih daripada 2 tahun. Ini just watch like one minute of video je, oh, suddenly you know everything. Like, yeah, I mean, it's not nice, definitely, because you do not know that your action can actually contribute to that person to have even more mental illness into depth.
Yes.
You know, because
True.
of your negative vibe. So yeah, all this, I find it doesn't work on me. Maybe some people might want to get the tough love punya approach because they just want the jolt or that boost to like, okay, get up from my bed. Like, come on, get up. You know, some people may or may not work on you, but it doesn't really, I cannot relate. People macam keras like that, macam I cannot.
Yeah, because I mean, when we talk about tough love approach, it might work in some situations, it might not work for some, and mostly it might not work for other situations where the person's mental state is clinical. Like when they have been clinically diagnosed, so if you want to give this tough love, it's the wrong place to give the tough love lah.
Yes,
An example I would say from my own experience is when I was younger lah. I mean, zaman gemilang, zaman, when we were making friends with people and all that. And I've been in past relationships before lah. So when things go bad, and then I would cry, I would fall into depression and all that. Then during that time, we just loosely use the term depression like as if it's nothing, when actually depression is something that is there's more to it. So when you're feeling sad, then you tell people that, oh, I got into a depression, but then we cannot anyhow use that as a term, you see. So I and then we are weak lah, as human beings, we cry, we would get into like very negative situations, and then we would cry. And let's say, for example, if we are in that kind of situation where every little thing happens in our life, like maybe breakup, or your friend did something bad to you, and then you keep on crying. So you keep on calling the same friends and calling them and crying to them, and like, oh my God, this is. Then after that, your friend puts a stop to it and say, okay, you know what, you need to stop this, like feeling all emotional and sad, that kind of thing. So for me, in my situation, I mean, this is a personal experience where, I've had my cousin telling me that, sometimes you just need to snap out of it. But of course, like I said, this doesn't work for people who are in clinical medical conditions. But for some of us, we are just indulging ourselves into this kind of negative situation. So we get this tough love to sort of snap ourselves out of it. So in my case, what I pushed myself was more of, just to be alone and face my so-called demons completely on my own. And then, that kind of thing. But like I said, it only happens to certain situations. But like I said, when you go into something that is, you really find that you don't have control of, then that's where you really need to see someone about it. For the tough love, there are people out there who probably, like Indra said lah. I mean, some people might just do it out of getting attention, or things like that. So in those situations it might work lah. But again, for situations like when it's clinical, the tough love approach definitely does not work and should be avoided.
Yep. Relating about this tough love approach, it brings us to this 7 and number 8 point, where I believe these two is collaboratively inclined more to with the same approach lah. So maybe Aidil, you can share with us.
Can. And then I can just summarize all the 8 pointers. So avoid offering advice and also be patient at that. Also, I find it very important to be in the presence of someone with mental illness, because first things first, if it's unsolicited, please do not give your inputs until I ask you to give me your advice. If not, just
itu yang susah, no, Aidil. That is the most difficult, because kita ni mulut senang kita ni manusia. We are humans. We tend to comment more rather than listen, and we tend to straight away give rather than to receive. You see. So maybe I give the floors to you lah, Aidil.
I agree. Because we have all the because kita pun dah pernah go through hardships also. So we want to also share our views and also our experiences, in hoping that person also can get something out of our experience. But then by you sharing it, it's not the same at all, if you get what I mean. Even though we both shared the same word like being sad, but your degree of sadness and mine are not the same. So we shouldn't compare, and we shouldn't giving our personal point of views or even experiences. In psychology also, it's unethical for a psychologist to share based on his or her experiences. So the best thing to do is just listen until when that person actually voice out to you. So what do you think I should do? Should I go to the doctor to get to call and get my medication, or to call my psychologist? Then from there, both of you can discuss about it together cohesively, not just one way. So, okay, listen, this is what you should do. Listen to me. Let's go to the doctor now. But then you need to back up with some facts lah also, and how to make me believe lah why I should be listening to you. If not, then we both together come to an agreement. Like we can come to a middle ground, since I already opened the floor to you, and to able to receive whatever opinions that you have. Then we find a middle ground on where we can agree and to go to the next step. What we do. So
and also to go together lah. Go together to the clinic, go together to see the psychiatrist and all that. Yeah, it's always good to have that support while the person seeks help.
Correct. So it's not just physical support, you also receive the mental support as well, and emotional, definitely. So, but then having said that, since you have already been to be that angel to that someone, you also need to realize that you have a limit to yourself, to what you can do also. So our patient also has limits, so as to our energy, and we also have things to do in life also,
Mm.
instead of just the intention is definitely well appreciated, but um, now I realize that my best friend has his own life to attend to, has his own set of problems to deal with,
Mm.
and sometimes or most of the time I was not there for him, but
Mm.
he has been there for me all the time. So it's better to create that boundary as well. As much as you want to be there for your loved ones, have a boundary, create a safe space for you as well as a caregiver, because caregiver burnout is very, very apa ni,
Real lah.
it's, it's
It's
real. And
real.
also when it hits you, now that I lost one support pillar. A pillar of support is already the jatuh. So now who am I going to look up to now? Now that you also are in that kind of state, because you have already invested your emotions with me. So yeah, so be patient definitely when handling all these sensitive issues, but also to create a boundary for yourself, to practice self-care for yourself, not to kirakan make yourself invested so much that you forgot that you also have a life to live.
It's also important, I think, for us to also call on behalf of our friends who are having a mental illness. We can call the SOS helpline. We can call NCSS, or even the counseling services, to call on behalf of our friend and say, okay, my friend is having a meltdown. What should I do? All those kind of things. So it doesn't necessarily have to be to leave it to them to call. We can also be the ones to take the step ahead for them lah. At the same time.
Yeah, definitely. Because on every sessions also with my therapist, we will have apa numbers, per point of contact, emergencies to call. So you are actually linking up your therapist with your loved ones also, those who you really trust and believe. So vice versa lah. Both of them have each other's numbers. So if anything go to pop up, they are able to call on your behalf also without you having to be there. Kalau macam kirakan you are unable to get the phone also. So all in all, having to say that for a caregiver point of view, I see that it is it is it's not a trend lah. I must say. I mean, mental illness itself. Although people see that there's more people actually talking out about it, and even like celebrities are actually opening up talking about it, but we do not want to make it as a trend to have a negative connotation when people find mental illness is just something macam very glamorous now, but it shouldn't be a taboo also. So
Yeah.
one day I hope we can find a middle ground for the public, and also for people with mental illness to work hand in hand together, like basing on the 8 pointers that I've shared. Like, I'm sure there's more that people can add on. So if you are watching this, probably you can even give your inputs, in the comments below, like what are the things that probably you as a caregiver you have experienced before, and what you think is best for someone with mental illness. So when another people actually is watching this video and they are able to read the comments, and also knowing that, okay, there's another point that Aidil did not mention, but then it's very useful. So yeah, probably you can just share it with me also, because actually I'm learning as well as I'm going through this. And yeah, so every day is a learning lesson for me, for the caregiver, and also for us, the public who may have not heard about it. And yeah, probably it's just like mentioned that it's okay not to say okay. It's okay not to say that you're not okay. Yeah, everyone needs to learn that, like, not every disability is physical. So yeah.
True.
And
Because for this mental illness, like you said, not every disability is physical, and for mental illness is another way for us to understand. Is unseen. You see, is an unseen circumstances. It's an unseen illness, you see. But you can only see the signs. You can only spot things that goes wrong within the person, you see. But you can't really you can't really diagnose him. But different with physical illness, roughly you can gauge, you know, how weak or how strong that person is. But for mental illness, definitely there's no such gauge where you just put to him and say, okay, now he's mentally strong, and previously he's mentally weak. There's no such gauge, right? And like one of our scholars ever mentioned before, right? For this mental illness, actually, there's no face to it. Anyone can have it. When I say anyone, I means even like you said just now, Ideal, celebrities going through depression and so on. And this thing is should be in. I mean, we should come into the consensus where we are able to discuss this on a common ground, where all of us are able not just to understand, but at the same time to execute and practice in our normal daily life, so that we can collectively bring the best out of this community.
I agree. Yes.
And maybe to wrap it up, last pointer is I think is to be patient. On the part of being patient, I think it's something that is not easy. I think all of us have very low level of tolerance, low tolerance level actually, right? So yeah, I mean, ideal. Maybe you can kindly advise our viewers out there.
Uh, like what I mentioned just now, so like it goes hand in hand lah, because if that person if let's say the person with mental illness is actually testing your patience right now, there's only so much that you can do to to react to it, and you also do not want to blow up in front of him. So it's best for you to get yourself out of the situation and try to diffuse it as calmly and less kirakan very minimal damage that could happen. So yeah, it's very trying and very testing, because I have a lot of fights basically with my best friend, actually going through it. Like he did not want to hurt me, but then also he doesn't want to see me feeling hurt. So it was very difficult, but then alhamdulillah, like we managed to go through it via counselling. So I did share with my my counselor regarding about this. So what I did was to express my emotions in a healthy way lah. So I write, I share on my social media talking about it. So in order for me to regulate my emotions, yeah. So
I mean, allow me to share this this part, a part of my life. I think most of the viewers out there, I think they can roughly get some benefit from my own experience. When we talk about being patient for our loved ones, I would like to share a bit of my growing up. I have a sister. My sister have passed on already. My late sister was diagnosed with low IQ, and looking at her growing up that time, and seeing my mom always be there for her, and we are talking about 20 up to 30 years of commitment, you see, because my late sister passed away when she was around 33. So we are talking about 30 years of commitment of a mother, being patient, right, day in day out for her daughter who are going through that kind of mental state. So it's not easy. When you talk about being patient, it's not just mere words. I mean, actions speak louder than that. So I'm blessed. I'm blessed that I managed to witnessed that coming from my mom and learning that aspect, because it's not easy also being a mother caring for a sick child, right? And when we talk about her kind of mental state, she have her times, her outbursts and so on. And being patient constantly, when we talk about constantly being patient, mana istiqamah dia, Masya Allah lah. Like for us, right? Maybe for us, kita akan complain, ataupun the next day we can be patient, and then the next coming 2 days, and then we start to macam complain, mak susah lah, aku tak boleh bersabar, I cannot be patient. But for mothers, Masya Allah, right? Their istiqamah on being patient is beyond words.
Because I find it motherly instinct. They'll do everything and anything for their child. I think like I'm not a mother definitely, but then I can see that I think my mom would go like far and beyond just to get me out of the bed. She would anything for me. So I see that as also a motivation for me to feel better and to be better, because of that kind of support. So like when you mentioned actions, all these very, very small but meaningful actions are actually motivations for us to want to make it work again, instead of just waiting for help to come to us. I find it is important also for me to say that as patients, we also need to work on ourselves. We try to be independent as much as we can, and feel empowered by all the supports that we have been getting, and make it gather the strength and make it as a form of macam to prove to them, to make their hard work worthwhile. Instead of them just giving you help and they are not getting anything. Although obviously lah, they orang buat tu bukan atas kehendak nak anything in return, but then we have to show that we are getting better.
Yes.
That is the kind of returns that they want.
Sometimes mak kita ni diorang tak nak any monetary reward pun. They don't want any, they don't want anything from us. What they want is just the best for our future. I think Masya Allah lah. Whoever out there, I myself remind this to I would strongly remind this to myself. Whoever out there who still have mothers, and please take this opportunity lah. Regardless whatever they have done to you or whatever they have contributed to your life, still their place is above our head lah, actually. We carry them high. Up high.
They are the tickets to heaven.
Yeah, betul.
Yeah, so definitely in all my talks I would definitely credit the first human being, which is my mother lah. Without her also, I wouldn't even be here talking about it. Also other caregivers around that have been very supportive, and also have been doing all the 8 steps that I've shared today. Because of this group of people who are very kind and that they have done all the 8 steps is the main reason why I am up and well today.
Alhamdulillah, Masya Allah. I think Masya Allah we have not say summarized, we have covered quite a range of topics here. The 8 topics that the 8 points that Aidil mentioned. Inshallah, I will give I will input all these 8 points in our video description, and for those who want to know, right? And whoever missed our first episode, please look up on our first episode, because that has we have explained the first 2 points there. And mashallah, it's a very fruitful session with Aidil, and I would like to take this opportunity to really thank him for coming to Seeker Session and share his experience and his wisdom.
Thank you so much. No, because I am very appreciative towards this kind of movement. Thank you for giving me this platform, because even a word out to any platforms available is actually something that is very kind of very touching for me, because it is definitely a near and dear topic to my heart, and I have been wanting to be the not spokesperson lah, but just to be macam the face of mental illness for men, um, especially lah, to get the word out, so that we are able to do this collectively, and men also have depression. So yeah, thank you so much for this platform given, and thank you for all the support. Yeah.
MashaAllah. Thank you, Aidil. MashaAllah. So, inshallah, for those viewing, please do not forget to like and share this video, and please give your kindest support for this movement. And for those who have comments, please leave your comments below. And inshallah, we will see again on our next session on because this won't be the last part of this won't be the last of all for mental health illness. Inshallah, there will be more coming topics to discuss about mental illness. And for those who really support our movement, please do follow and subscribe to our channel. So inshallah, with that, me Indra Sahib and Shema Alkaf signing off from and also Aidil Arsad signing off from Seeker Session. All right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.